Well, that was a big night. How do you assess it all?
Oh, where do you want to start? It's a pretty big night for the club. We had a pretty intense trade period that put us in a position where we could look to start what's next for the football club, and we're very excited. Obviously, with some of the drafts we've had previously, and then leading to this one, we feel like we've been able to set ourselves up for obviously this draft here, and then obviously a little bit with next year with that trade with North at the end.
Starting with Sammy Lawler, at what point during the process did you decide that he was the best player in this?
Yeah, look, I don't want to talk about Chris too much, but as a part of his application for the job, he had to assess the draft pool for this year, and that was done in February, March. And Sammy was highly touted at that point, but probably not at the pointy end. And it's funny, he went back over all the vision and came out with Chris at number one, which probably made us think a little bit differently about it. We've got Francis Jackson, who does our futures, and he was pretty keen on Sam as well. And given where he's been this year with injury and everything else, we made sure that we were at every game that he played. And yeah, he's shown a capacity to play forward and on ball, and can be a real difference maker around the contest with his power and speed while going forward and showing the ability to mark the ball as well. So we're excited what he can do.
So did you see Dustin Martin in those highlights?
Yeah, look, I don't like to. I see Sam Lawler in the highlights. He's his own man. He's really strong-willed. He's got a great appetite for the contest, and yeah, I think we just. I'm not big on comparisons. I'd love Sam to start from the beginning and work his way up and forge his own career.
So was Sam number one on your board coming into the year when you went back and looked through all the tape with Chris?
Sorry, if you're talking about now, at the end of the year, or
at the start of this year?
At the start of the year, look, it's an open field. We don't want to go in with too much bias. We just assess every player as it comes, and that was no different with Sam. We had a bunch. We knew the draft was strong. That's why we wanted to trade in initially with the picks during last year's trade period, and then obviously what happened during the trade period enabled us to open up and get right into it.
It looks like you punted on upside. Is that a fair upside? You've seen the talent there, and even though there's a little bit of risk around like Tash Houghton and even Sammy Lawler not playing a lot of footy this year, because you had a lot of picks, was that something you felt comfortable doing?
Yeah, it's funny. Drafting's there's part of production this year, and then also upside, which is what you've mentioned there. And I've always likened it to studying for an exam, but then you wait 5 years for the results, 5 to 7 years sometimes. But we're really excited about all the guys that we've picked in terms of, obviously we're picking for upside, we want them to improve, but that involves them getting to work and getting right into the environment and maximising their talent.
We've had a say, in I guess the first and last calls of the night, you must be quite happy to bring in a future first from North Melbourne, which will have you quite well placed for next year too.
Yeah, and that was part of our discussion, even leading into the draft, was, we really rated it, but was if we could maximise our position for next year as well, and it worked for us, we'd look at it. And we were in discussions, the phones were running pretty hot, leading from our fifth pick to the seventh pick. So we were on the phone back and forth with North Melbourne quite a bit and a number of other clubs, and it got to the point where it felt like it was something that would work for us.
When you're doing your homework for the draft in terms of the players you pick, I mean, how much do you sort of think about, what the game might look like in, say, 5, 10 years' time, and what trends might come out of the game, and how that sort of affects how you pick?
No, it's a massive part of recruiting. You've got to be able to project not just the talent that you're looking at, but how the game is going to be played. I don't want to go into too much detail, but you go back to when the interchange rule changed and had sides pressing up and high rotation, and we looked at repeat speed and run. So you're talking about some guys we picked that played through that period of 2017 to 2020. Even some of those guys are still on our list now. So it's part of projection. It's part of doing your job properly, I guess. Yeah.
And how do you project the game to be played, say, in 27, 28, 30?
I probably don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I'm sure everyone's got their own ideas. The game's fast, but it's also contest-based. You're recruiting for the last day in September. So how do those games look? And how have they looked over time? And some of the things we always assess.
Is the game getting faster?
Well, the game's always getting faster. I mean, just look at some of the athletes tonight. But when it comes back to the crunch of the big games, it's a contest game. So you've got to have that too, and you need guys that can play all around the square. And so we've tried to assess that as we assess this draft pool.
Does that Has that trade with North Melbourne made you more likely to keep your first pick tomorrow night now?
No, we'll assess everything. Yeah, there's options in trading back as well. There's still some pretty handy players on the board, so we're excited to see how the next 24 hours play out. It's a non-stop business, this one. I'd love to go and have a beer, but I think I think the phone will still be running pretty hot. We've already had a couple of calls. So
All these picks, it was a discussion about taking best available. You ended up with a few tools. What can you speak to that decision you made with taking best available versus taking listeners?
Oh, look, we're trying to pick a premiership team. We're not trying to pick a team to win. Potentially next year, we're trying to pick a premiership team. And you look at the basis of a lot of the premiership sides. Even you go back in time with Richmond, it was Rewalt and Rance in 06 and 07. So building that base of tools that allows them to develop as we continue to build our side over the next few years. But it's exciting. We're excited about the guys we picked. As you said, they all have plenty of upside, and they're strong characters. Really, really strong characters.
Were you always hoping to walk away with 2 key forwards tonight, or was it one of those things that just played out that way and you grabbed the opportunity?
Yeah, look, we were very keen on getting a balance within our picks, and we looked at, Jonty Fall as a highly competitive key forward, and they're hard to find. And that they do become very important when the whips are cracking. So to get him in the bag, and then we were, Harry Armstrong highly touted throughout the course of the year. He's really competitive when the game's going as well. You saw in the game out here at Marvel against Vic Country, he really stepped up when it was on. Matty Lloyd, speaking to him at Haileybury, he's talked about that and how he can really have a good crack at the ball when when the game's on the line. So we're excited with that with Harry, and like the others, he's got some work to do, and he'll be given every opportunity to do that at Richmond.
You've lost a lot of obviously senior personnel, so do you see a ready-made quality in some of the boys that you picked tonight?
Yeah, probably not going to talk about that too much either. I think they've all got the ability to play the game, no doubt. But the focus now for us is to give them the best opportunity through the pre-season, and who knows what happens next year.
We're good.
Yep.
Thank you.
All good.
Thanks, mate.